Welcome back to another episode of Rocket Garage. We got Falcon here. And today we're going to do some maintenance and some upgrades because this car has not been reliable and I'd really like it to be. So let's get into it. Well, here she is in all her glory. The rusty, crusty, greasy underside. The biggest thing is this exhaust. It's straight piped, true duals, and on Power Tour a couple years ago, my mount broke, the weld fell off, drug the ground, so while we were in a pinch, we just put a muffler clamp through the floor and did what we had to do. Also, if you guys have watched my other videos on this car, I did Holley EFI on it. So I did a sniper with a pump, their tank, stainless steel lines, did all the fittings. It's not the best, but you know what? I did what I had to do. With no overdrive, 350 gear, and 22.5-inch tall tires, this thing screams at, I believe, 3250 to 3300 RPM at 60. So yeah, it's screaming. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna make this dual 2-into-1, make my own Y pipe, and then bring it over closer to up here where the floorboard rolls up next to the drive shaft, and then kick it up over the axle. Gonna put a single chamber muffler here, and then I'm actually gonna do a J pipe, and that's gonna hopefully cut down on a lot of the drone. This is a little side note for anybody who's wondering, and that's probably gonna be nobody, but this is an Astrovan slave cylinder that I made. This bracket bolts up to the bell housing and the back of the or the front of the transmission, I should say. And then I just made a line, ran the braided up to the Willwood Slave Master, and it works really good. So I got really nice pedal feel. Don't have to deal with bushings or anything. It's just, I got an adjuster in there, right there. Works pretty good. While we are waiting on parts, I'm gonna put my fab table and my TIG welder to good use and make sure this thing's set up, because I am gonna TIG weld this exhaust as long as this doesn't affect it. It's been a long time since I used this thing. I'm a little bit more proficient in TIG welding, so I'm gonna be practicing and building this exhaust with the TIG welder and the Northern Tool fab table. This thing was actually a really good buy. It's a scorcher, so don't mind the fan. Whoops! That's tightening. I am changing these clamps to a V-band clamp. I've grown really fond of those. Yep. Temporarily permanent. It's probably like 97 in here. My barometer tells me. The dual headers that I have are 2-inch, and I really wanted to run 2 1/4, so I adapted it, ran 2 1/4, and really that's the downfall of this is I can't fit 2 1/4 under the car. I had to smash it for the cross member, and it still drags the ground. So what I'm gonna have to do is go back to 2-inch, cut up, go underneath. The hose on the TIG machine is rotten, and I ordered a new one. It just hasn't showed up, but I'm gonna start on the exhaust and just kind of tack it together with the MIG welder. And this is the first time using this table, and it is pretty sweet for how cheap it is. 2 V-band clamps tacked on there. Gonna go something like this, and then go down. But I need to make this Y pipe first. Where's my marks? Got a couple marks right here to fall somewhere in the radius. So I marked those best I could. And then we got this tube on the table, so I marked it all the way around. Do a little measuring, do a little cutting, some fabricating, and then it'll end up something like that. Tell you what, whoop, get back over there. I got it pretty dang close. I think if I trim the back side up and get it a little more square, I think it'll hit that hole just fine. So we already mocked it up in the car. This was pretty much a one-shot for me, which is pretty rare, but it worked. Got the tube marked. Now we've got to cut that out and tack those together and put the V-band clamp on there. It's still pretty hot. It's over 100 degrees in the shop today. Slow moving, but we're getting there. Straight tube, first and second, third piece. Oh my gosh, I lost my leg. Did it, Dan. All right, my tripod broke too. Great. I have realized I didn't need 3 pieces, but I'm not cutting them again. It's too hot. Ah, that's hot. Wow, it's hot. Come on. There we go. Good enough for me. I actually really do like this table. It's not very efficient, but it's a little big fabrication that I do. That's just fine. I'm hoping this is going to be more up to the floor now, and I can offset it towards the drive shaft. Let's throw it in the car and see. One thing before I put this one in the car, you want really consistent and tight gaps when you're TIG welding. MIG welder, you can, you know, fill a good amount. I mean, you can fill with TIG, but you really want your fitment to be on point, as the kids call it. Or is it on fleek now? What's the term now? I'm getting old. Okay, I really like this. This little kick up. This is where it drug the ground all the time. So that's real nice. It's away from the drive shaft. The 45 I just built. I don't like the 45. It'll put the muffler pointing straight at the shock. So I'm probably gonna have to cut that apart and make it, my caliper said 28 degrees. Got this little nifty tool. So it's saying 28.5 degrees, 30 degrees would probably be just fine. But yeah, I don't like how that's pointing to the shock. It's gonna make it really weird back here. This is what I have come up with for out of the muffler, over the rear axle, and down the frame rail. I need to tack that one together. All these tubes are fitting really nicely. Happy with the table. Not happy with the welder being broke, but what can you do? Oh no! Blew a hole right through it. All right, well, that's ugly. I swear, all my good welds I do off camera. Now that the tailpipe section is done, this is where the muffler is. Goes over the axle, down the frame rail. I'm going to put the J-pipe somewhere right here and bring it down, and it'll probably stop about right there. This is the fun part. I've never done a J-pipe. This car has always had terrible drone at like 3,000 RPM. So, gonna do some math, figure it out on how long the J-pipe needs to be for that frequency. Not too hard if I got this far. Now that I got the new torch in, got a glass cup kit, some stainless rod. Let's throw some welds down. See how bad I am. Definitely need practice, but it's melting metal. The way I look at it, the only way to get better is to do it. That's what we're doing. So my buddy LT Tolman actually made a video which actually inspired me to actually put a J-pipe in. I've heard of them, I've seen them done, but I've never actually done one myself. And I think this car is probably the best example because it's just bad. The drone is terrible. He's actually got a video of him doing a J-pipe, and he goes through the math and all that stuff. And where was I? I think I got everything out. Yeah, if you want to, I'll link LT's YouTube channel and then, or the video, whichever one. And you guys could go look up the math. I did the basic stuff, and I think I got it pretty right. So let's get into it and start building this J-pipe. Measurements that I got for my quarter wave J-pipe target is 27.5, so somewhere between 27 and 28 I'll be fine with. here's the straight tube. I already cut and sanded those right there. Then we've got our 90 that is going to go chop it up right there. And then what I did was I just took this corner that I cut off the 45 and flattened it out, just cut the tube down and hit it with a hammer a bunch of times. We're gonna measure that, cap it, weld that on, cut this, cut a hole here, weld it together. Another note, I welded in a new O2 bung. Go. Pretty much it. That's all there is to it. A little bit of porosity, but not bad. So there's the end cap. The hole's punched. I got everything on the jig. See that? Just want to warp it. That'll work. They're starting to pick the tube up. Yeah, I touched the tungsten with the filler rod. All welded up. Made a little tab. Yeah, I almost blew through that corner. Just to keep them from opening up and breaking that weld. Let's throw it in the car and button this thing up and see how it sounds. Okay, guys. Whew! Another hot one, but I got it done. Y pipe, O2, V-bands. I made a miscalculation here and I had to smash it with a hammer. But don't worry about that. Exhaust hanger, muffler, TIG welded, tubey tubes. We've got our J-pipe and another exhaust hanger. That one's a little funky because, well, there's no room under this car. Let's put this thing on the ground and start it up. Obviously, I already moved the car, so I already know what it sounds like. But you guys don't. Let the fuel pump run. I'll cycle it a couple times. Come on. Breathe. You can obviously hear that the exhaust manifold is leaking from underneath the throttle body carburetor area, which is a bummer. I don't think it sounds bad. Let me put the microphone over there. So yeah, a lot quieter, Honestly, it's a little quieter than I thought it was gonna be. The muffler is only a single chamber, but with the 6-cylinder, it quiets it down pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that exhaust leak. That's annoying. It's a lot quieter. A lot quieter. Now, if the drone is gone, is the real question. Let's hope so. That was like 2 weeks worth of work for me. Oh, that exhaust leak. Honestly, transmission. There's almost no drone. I would actually consider that no drone. The car's just loud. But wow. I can have a conversation. Let's see. Let's rev it up. Yeah, you can't even hear it in here. Let's do a little ripper. Nobody's coming. I just need to change the seats out to something more comfortable, because I doubt I'm going to be autocrossing this car. Now that I have the race truck up and going. So the drone, gone. The J-pipe was pretty much all I needed. I don't think I needed the muffler, because it sounds like a sewing machine now, which is fine. I mean, the car's got 120 horsepower, if that. I'm not that worried about it. Well, that's going to be it for this episode. I got to say, the J-pipe did what I wanted it to do. There is no drone in this car. All you could hear is road noises now and the exhaust leak. Now I got to fix that. Besides the exhaust leak, I'm just going to change some oil and start driving this thing again. As always, thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, and I'll see y'all on the next one.